Hello everyone, this is Yusuf and welcome to another coding video. In this video I'm going to take a look at this issue for Uno.Gallery. The problem here is that on app startup we are doing some reflection which is slowing down the app startup. What is needed here is to avoid the reflection and instead use a roslyn-source-generator. Let's see how we can write this generator. Here I have the Uno.Gallery solution open, and let's first make sure it builds properly. It has built successfully and should run now. Yes, so far so good. Let's start making the needed changes. The first thing I need to do is to add a new project for the source generators. New project, and for now it can be a simple console app, and we can just edit the CS project later, so it doesn't matter what kind of project it is. Let's call it Uno.Gallery source generators and hit next, and yeah, let's just create. The first thing that is needed is to adjust the target framework. Source generators and analyzer has to be on net standard 2. That's a requirement because they are run inside the IDE, which is .NET framework, and inside command line builds, which is .NET Core, so it has to stay on net standard. And we will need some package references, and it's not an exe, so I think we'll need Microsoft Code Analysis.C#, and for now we can stick with 3.7, and we will also need the analyzers package. I'm not sure what the latest version is, maybe 3.3. Let me check on NuGet. Yeah, there is a newer version, 3.3.4, that is the latest stable. We can keep on the latest stable for now. It's 3.3.4. Yes, we can now start writing the generator. Let's call this samples generator, and in this case Uno.Gallery source generators. We can adjust the language version for the whole repo, I think, but let's keep it for later. For now we can just have the block scope namespaces, and now we need the generator attribute and public sealed class samples generator. IIncremental. Why is it not there? IIncrementalGenerator, it should be available. IIncrementalGenerator, I'm on a very old version actually. Let's give on 4.7. I already have 17.8, so 4.7 should be good. This version is compatible with 17.7 and later, and I have the latest 17.8 preview, so it should be compatible. Let's implement the interface, and here comes the hard part. So first we need to add enforce extended analyzer rules. Enforce extended analyzer rules true. So we need to find the get samples method and see how we can write that as a source generator. So yes, so we are looking for all types that are attributed with sample page attribute. So that's the first thing we'll need to do. Context dot is attribute with syntax provider for attribute with metadata name, and what is the fully qualified name of this attribute. And here we need to have a predicate, so I think it could be just so it could be based on whether the condition is satisfied or not. Yeah, so let's do that. But there might be a problem here in that the predicate is only on the syntax node, so we might need to have some semantics here. It's not really necessary, but it is more reliable to rely on semantics. So let's keep it for now that we just return a true here and define the condition based on semantics, and if that turned out to be problematic from a performance point of view, we can switch to being syntactic. So I think we should really be on a higher language version. So for now we can add it here, but I would like to enable it for the whole repo. So for now we can be on C#11 and switch this back. So this is our predicate, and then we have the transform. So for the transform, we need to have the context and cancellation token and some sort of transform method that takes these two. Could actually just be transform here. So let's generate this method. Let's make it a static method, and selection token. We could have a model that we transform to, so it could be private record struct samples model. And what do we need to have in there? So here we need to get so we have the context and we have the target symbol, and we could cast that to iname type symbol, attributed symbol, and then we can have attributed symbol dot get attributes for each attribute in get attributes. If attribute dot attribute class dot name equals sample conditional attribute, let's avoid the null ref. So if we have this attribute, then we need to build the model. So I think we could link this enumeration to the source generator project and reuse it. So here we can do compile include and where was it? Uno.Gallery shared entities sample conditionals. Yes. So we have we should be now having this. Okay, it is not resolved somehow. So is it like that? Yes. So if we have our sample conditional attribute, let's also take a look at its definition. Yeah, so it just has this constructor. Yeah, so we can do attribute dot constructor arguments dot single dot value, and then cast that to sample conditionals. Or we could actually let's think more about it. So it actually doesn't allow multiple, so we can have here sample conditionals equals null, and then if we found the attribute we do it like this. Boxing can ignore this null for now. Yes. So we can now have here the conditionals, and what else we need to have. So it's a new sample, and it takes a type. I don't think we'll need it to take a type anymore, so I have to revise what other callers are there. Yeah, so for this one, right, so we could potentially have another constructor, but let's first see what where view type is being used. Okay, lots of usages, including some activate or create instance calls, which is quite expected. I wanted to avoid that and be just able to instantiate the page directly, but this could be done later, so let's first try to get something working. And sample conditionals. Yes, so I think we need to have another step here that collects the defined constants that's passed from msbel to the compiler. So I don't recall where that will be, but let's try. It is probably in the compilation provider. Let's try a select here, and compilation cancellation token, compilation dot maybe options, and I don't recall where that is. So let's try to look at the API reference here. Can't really recall it. Okay, so I think I have seen that before in 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 the in the analyzer we have for not implemented for Uno. So Uno analyzers, Uno not implemented analyzer. I think okay. So it's probably not this one that is related to syntax trees specifically. Vectors. Maybe it is this, but I don't want to be okay. So it is three. Okay, let's actually check it from the Roslyn source. So syntax tree dot options. It is actually a parse option, so I think this is shared across all trees in the compilations. It should be the same parse options, and we should probably be able to get it from the compilation directly. Maybe I need to cast it first to C# compilation, and then compilation, and then okay, it's not there as well. So okay, so it seems it is available on the context directly, or oh no, it is not. Let's check. Okay, no, it is there, but it is not not this API exactly. So this API looks like the old generators, not incremental one, but yeah, it's quite similar, except that it is now an incremental value provider instead of just the parse options directly. So that's what I'm looking at. So should have it here, and then I could go from options to context dot, or not context now, it should be options dot preprocessor symbol names. Alright, so we are almost there to collecting the symbol names, and we probably want to like convert that to a sample conditional. a long method name, but shouldn't be a big of problem. We now need to find out the proper logic. Sorry. So it should be here. So if I think it doesn't make sense to have multiple of these symbols defined, and if it happened, it's definitely an issue. So what we could do is just loop over them, and if preprocessor symbol equals Windows, and this should be a sample conditional, then just return directly Windows. Could go with this switch. That sounds better. Sample conditional dot Windows, and let's go with the other platforms, and this would be macOS and iOS and Android. And WASM, and finally so I'm not sure when this could be hit, but yeah, let's just follow the same and just have this as always. Or actually search expression. Okay, so we can just return here because we might need multiple iterations, so this probably has to I don't think something like this is allowed. No, that's not allowed, so we need to refactor this back to if conditions. I'm not sure why there is no such refactoring. Have to rewrite it back. So here we have Windows, macOS, iOS, WASM, and GTK. So let's delete this and just adjust this, and iOS, WASM, scare GTK. So here we have got from the parse options, from that we have got a provider for the current platform, maybe you could call it like that, which is just an incremental value provider of sample conditionals, which will be one of those. What I will need to do here is not sure. So for this step, for the step that that comes from for attribute with metadata name, I can't have access to this current platform provider, so we are likely to combine those as a next step, and then just filter that. For now it should be sufficient to come here and return a new sample model of conditionals, but then we also need the type. So that's still a problem, because this was already reflection, and we already had the type here. So what code do I need to actually generate? So that's the important question. How should the generated code look like? So it should be an array of samples, but then how I'm supposed to instantiate the sample? So I think I still need to adjust this. Okay, let me try with introducing another constructor. So let's actually make a private constructor here that just take the attribute and does the common things, and then just remove all that and call this attribute, and then have another constructor that is sample page. Does sample page has to inherit from some specific type? That's something to look at now. So where are all those sample page attributes? It looks like they are all really pages. Nothing surprising, they are all pages. So let's close some of these. And then back to sample class. So I here I could just have a page and call it view, and then we could have read only bool created from type, and then created from type equals true here, and then view type here can be view dot get type, and then let's look at the usages here. So we would need to replace the create instance here. Actually, that is all not needed for now, at least. Sorry. So let me actually revert all that, and then just have it like this, just as it was before. So that is all really not needed. What is needed is just the fully qualified name of the page. So let's get back to our generator, and then just have fully qualified name, which will be attributed symbol dot attributed symbol dot to display string, maybe. Yeah, I think that should work. And then we can now have a filtered samples, and that is equals to samples provider dot combine current platform provider, and then we will select could have it like this and generate this method, and for sample model and compilation conditional. Yes, so what we will probably need now is to compare the compilation conditional, which comes from this provider, with the conditional in sample model. So that is equivalent of what was being done here. Actually, let me fix this back. And that was done in this should be displayed. So let's copy this method. Let's also make this static, and this also needs to be static, and then private static should be displayed. But now here we will have the conditional and another one that represents the compilation conditionals, which is actually the context. And then compilation conditional, and we could just return this directly. Let's add braces to make it a little bit nicer. And now we will probably return a nullable model, and if should be displayed, and the first one is sample model.conditionals, and the second one is compilation conditional. Okay, so this is nullable, and if conditionals is null, then I think we should be returning true, and that is the equivalent of the null check here. So I kind of just added this check inside should be displayed now. So let's make this dot value. So here we will just return the sample model, otherwise we return null. Sounds good. So we can now have where model goes to model is not null, and then we can have our final provider, which is a source output, and our source is a filtered sample, and then generate code. I'm not sure if we will be having an issue here. We could be having an issue. I'm not sure why quick info is not working to show me the type of this. Hovering doesn't do anything. I'm not sure why. That is an incremental value provider, but yes. Yeah, so I think that was what will be missing, but still quick info is not working. But we need to have a way to loop through all the filtered samples while generation. I'm not very sure yet whether this pipeline is the most efficient. It's probably not, but we will see, and just try to get something working at first, and then try to adjust it later if any performance issues popped up. So we now need an immutable array of sample model. So immutable array of sample model and samples, and then we can have a string builder and builder.append line, and what do we want to generate will be this namespace, and then this class, and then let's close this, and here is our method. I'm not sure if we can just make it an array. It doesn't matter a lot for now, at least. And finally return new array, and then here we will loop through our samples, and then at this point we still have the null annotation here, but we already filtered it here, so we are sure it is not null, and it should be safe to just do sample.value. So what we care about here is only the fully qualified name, and then we append line and append those tabs. So 3 tabs, and we need a 4th one, and then type of fully qualified name, and then append a comma at the end, and then append line, and this closes the brace of the array, and then this closes the method, and this closes the class, and this closes the namespace. So far so good. I'm not sure why it's still complaining. I have already added the enforce extended analyzer rules. Enforce analyzer rules, yes, so it's a typo. So it should be good now. And then the last part. Okay, so something's going wrong with VS. Okay, it's working again. And then builder dot context dot add source, and then samples.g.cs, for example, and then we could have source text from builder.toString, and that should probably be it, but it is very possible there are bugs, so we will need to verify what is being generated. And there is still the final part of the change, which is actually referencing the generator project in here, and it is not a regular project reference. It should have completion here is very broken, so we can find that from the source generators overview doc. So where is the project reference? Yes. So reference output assembly is false, and output item type is analyzer. And so let's copy these and add them for GTK, as well as WASM and Windows. So should be good. Let's try to build this Kia, for example. I would expect a compile error because the method will be existing twice, once from our generator, and it didn't fail, but my expectation is that the method is generated by the generator, but also it is still here, so it should really have failed. So why it is not failing? Maybe that requires an IDE restart, maybe. Let's try with a rebuild first. Still pausing. Oh, there is actually a crash here. Alright, so I see what I'm missing. So as the error mentioned, adding a source text requires an explicit encoding set, so I am missing encoding UTF-8 here. So let's rebuild. And yes, that's what I was expecting. Type app already defines a member called getSamples with the same parameter types. And here is, let's try to navigate to the generated file. So the ID experience is still not yet best, and especially for generators that are consumed via project references. It's a little bit better for package references, but for project references it's not very good. So let's see if I can figure out the generated code. So okay, so it's not really a problem for now to see the actual generated code. What I need to do for now is just delete these get samples and maybe just run directly. So it looks like there is an error. Okay, so there are errors in our generated code, and that is basically we are here returning a sample array, but what we are creating here is a type array, and we are also missing a semicolon here. So here we will need a sample page attribute instance, which is interesting. So let's say new sample, and we need something here. So Uno.Gallery sample. Let's better to make it fully qualified. And then we have to figure this out. So there are more information that we need to add to our model. So it is not that we just find out the sample page attribute and generate that. We need to actually have more information than that. So it will probably be in the transform, and we need to modify the model to include the extra information that we need. So we could try with that and see how that could work. So it's probably better to keep it like this. So we want this here. Yep. So here is our sample model. We already have the conditionals, the fully qualified name, but then we also need to find all sort of other information. So we will need a sample category, so we could keep it as a string, I believe, and then a string title, and then what is this source SDK? Are we using that material? It looks like none of these are used, except Uno Toolkit. So we have some usage for Uno Toolkit and WinUI, so we need to have this source SDK. We could also keep it as a string, and then a glyph, string glyph. So let's take a look at all the usages. Right, so we have our category title. There is a still description needed and documentation link. And a data type, which could be something like this, and then a sort order. So this structure is becoming quite longer. At this point it is not very clear if this should really be a struct or not. We can keep it as a struct for now. The number of samples will not so we have a lot of samples, but it is not to the point that that allocations of a class or the copy cost of a struct will be problematic. So it should be fine either way. So what we need now is to recreate the sample page attribute instance, and we could have that in a separate method. Create sample page attribute from the sample. So let's see how this is going to be written. It's not actually from the sample. Okay, so oh yes, it will be from the sample, and then we will have to modify the code here to adjust for the other information. So we need two changes now. So let's start by this one, and here we can return a string, and that will be new Uno.Gallery sample page attribute, and then we have our sample category. So here let's make this model. So we need model.category, assuming we will be generating it as a string, and then we could probably add it like this, sample category dot, and then we need the title, which for now we could just generate it like this, assuming the title will not have any sort of special characters. And then we will need to add global Uno.Gallery source SDK dot, let's actually make sure from the namespace it's Uno.Gallery, so it's correct, and then model.source SDK, and then we have the glyph, model.glyph, and let's actually make these named arguments. So to just to make sure that if something changed here, it will break this. So for example, if someone added some new parameter here that's also optional and it was added before clef, we want to make sure the generated code will still be correct. So just a sanity check. So a little bit more verbose, but it's better in my opinion. Then we have the source and the glyph. But then we still need to let's make it like this. So because I want to add a curly brace inside the string itself, you add $2 to make interpolation works with 2 curly braces, and then the curly braces you want to add will be just a single curly brace. So we modified all our interpolations, and then here we will need to add description equals model.description and documentation link equals model.documentation link, and then data type equals, and that probably will be a type of model.data type. Maybe add global here, and finally sort order equals model.sortOrder, and just to be on the safe side we probably need to pass culture info dot invariant culture. And that's probably it. So we have created our sample page attribute, and then we need to extract the information. So we have already context dot attributes, and then we can just take the first and that is sample page attribute. So sample page attribute so we first need to extract the category, and that will be constructor arguments dot first so I don't think typed constant will have any information about the argument itself. So okay, let me add some asserts here. So what I want to assert is that attribute constructor dot parameters of the parameters dot length equals 1 2 3 4, and then need to make sure that the first parameter is a category, and then the second parameter is the title, and then it is source, and then glyph. Again, I want any changes here to break these asserts, just to notify whoever is making the changes to take a look at the generator and see if anything needs to be modified. So for now we can safely have the category as a first constructor argument and the title as second, and source, and finally glyph. So category, this one is of type sample category, and I'm not really sure if calling to string here will work or not. Let's see, it might not work, not really sure. And then this is a string, and the source, maybe it has the same issue as category, but let's see. And then glyph is also a string. So that should be it for this part. So here we can pass category, title. We don't yet have the description, but we'll do it. We don't yet have the documentation link, but we will. And data type, we do have the source, and we do have the glyph, and we don't yet have the sort order. So for the other ones, they are not coming from the constructor argument, they are coming from the named arguments. And argument arg.key equals description, and dot value, and then dot value, and then that is already a string, and we have a documentation link, and we have the data type, and this one is probably going to be a symbol. I'm not sure, but if I recall correctly, Roslyn provides types in the context of attributes as I symbols. So this one could actually be converted to I symbol and then call to display string. We will see if it crashes or generates wrong code. We will be able to clearly see that. And then finally we have sort order, and this one is an integer. So far so good. So should be good. Is anything missing? Let's build and see. So here is what we have so far. There is an assertion failure. It's not clear which assert is failing. Let's see. Okay, so my bad. Let's rebuild again. And what is failing now? Step trace is not there. Okay, the stack trace and the exception information are not there. Not very helpful error. So I think that makes sense. So that should be let's actually introduce a helper to reduce all this noise. Private static get named argument or default, and then we will pass attribute data. Maybe we could either pass the attribute data or the array of key value pair of string and type constant. Could keep it with attribute data for now. Sample page attribute and default value, and then if sample page attribute dot named argument dot first or default. We'll also need the argument name here. Arg goes to arg.key equals argument name. If that is not null, we will do named argument dot value and cast that to the generic parameter here, and otherwise we return the default value. I think that makes better sense. And then here we get sample page attribute and description, and we'll need to revise the default values. And same goes with documentation link. And then data type, and this will be an I symbol. That could be null, and also the return type, let's make it null as well. And then once you have the simple, we will do to display string. I guess that makes sense. And then sort order, and it's an integer. So now what we need to do is to revise the sample page attribute, and all these description, documentation link, data type, all default to null, and sort order is int.max value. So int.max value here, and this is null, and this is also null, and this is null. And so we will need to adjust our model. This is null, this is null, this is null. So what should the next step be? Let's build and see what happens. There is a null ref crash. Where that could be? Not really sure, but can do the dirty way of debugging generators. And and rebuild. So that's happening inside get named argument or default line 171. So named argument is not null, and that's interesting. Can't go back. Right, so let's try this way. This one is good. Good. And why does this crash? Is it because of the cast? Don't really know. So let's try a rebuild. What is the problem in returning null value? So, oh, that is a sort order. How is the key being null when we match it with sort order? Something is going very weird. Kind error. That's very interesting. So we have description, documentation link, and data type. Named argument. How can this happen? Oh, maybe, yeah, so okay, so the problem here is that key value pair is a struct, and then the easy check is not gonna work very well. So let's create it as a for loop. Named argument in sample page attribute named arguments, and then if named argument dot key equals argument name, then we do this. Else return the default value. So let's rebuild and see. I hope it doesn't crash. So there are some errors in the generated code. It says at line 9 expected comma, and let's guess. So this is line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 is going to be here. So open two parentheses and close the two. I don't see why that would generate a comma expected. Yeah, maybe here. Maybe it is here. Let's emit the generated files to see where the error is. And compiler generated files output pass. Let's make it in obj generated. And then let's rebuild. And we can show all files obj generated. And see where this error is coming from. So it was saying at line 9 that documentation link didn't close the code. So documentation link, yes, that is the error. So let's rebuild once more. And there are still errors. They are at the same line 9. Yes, we have an extra code here this time. So let's remove this and let's do another rebuild. It's a bit time consuming process to write source generators, but source generators are very useful. Still there are errors, so let's take a look once more where that would be from. Where is the sort order? What is this? Yes. It appears to make sense to some extent. I don't see where the error is. Hard to say. So let me try to put this into sharp lab and see where the syntax error are. Okay, just the first few lines should be enough. Something like that. Still. Let's try to break it down. Oh yes, that is it. Yes, so that's actually what I was mentioning here for converting the where that was. Yes, this toString call and this toString call. So I think we could make it so it's quite ugly, but that will work for now. We could try to improve it later to generate like the category with name, but for now we can just cast the integer to the proper sample category type. So for now we could have Uno.Gallery sample category and just cast this. Let's cast this to int first, and then to string, and just make sure we use invariant culture to not cause any issues. And then we will have to do the same for source, and for that it is source SDK. The reason I'm adding the extra parentheses here is if this value was negative, the extra parentheses will be needed to not cause compile errors. So far we don't have any negative values, but yeah, just in case, but they could be removed. So let's try to do another build. It should hopefully generate at least a compiling code this time. It's still not. So let's see this time what is the problem. Let me actually first check how I am using the category, because I was yeah, yes, now I don't need this, and I also don't need this. That's because my previous expectation was that category and source SDK will be the actual enum member name, but they are now just the expression that needs to be used directly, which contains the numeric value, and it's casted to the proper enum type. So let's see, still there are some errors at line 10. Okay, So let's see what's going on in line 10. It is very unclear. Okay, so yes, that makes sense. So I need to adjust for when the data type is null. So for data type equal model dot data type, if it is null, then we just we keep the string null, and otherwise we do this. I think that sounds good. So here we just use the data type we created, and it is probably the same for documentation link. If description is nullable, yes it is. Then we do the same for description. Model dot description. Yes. And that is reasonable now. So let's do a rebuild. Yeah, it is very time consuming to write generators. You just take a lot of time to adjust everything from having the proper pipeline for incremental generators, and writing the needed logic, and then trying to adjust the generated code until it compiles properly. And even then, after you have it compiling properly, you might end up with wrong behaviors because of the generated code being not correct, like having some logical errors. So you need to adjust that as well. So it's a very time consuming process, but we are probably almost there. We are getting closer. So I want to zoom out to be able to see things properly. that's not correct generation, that needs to be adjusted, but that's not the current problem. Yes, so there is an extra parentheses here that needs to be adjusted for. Yes, have to have this one here and not here, and then documentation link and description. For null it will be the same, and here it will be like this, and the same will go for description. Yes, that should be better. And one thing I want to verify is that the default of graph is empty string, because if graph here was null, we will be generating empty string, and could it actually be null? Probably not, either way. Let's just confirm how we are calculating it. Yeah, we already get the correct value from the constructor arguments directly, so it should be good. So let's rebuild and see if we have any more compile errors. Still, but we are now at line 39, which is good. So what is happening here? Yes, we have to skip the descriptions. So we could have this and then replace let's see if that will work. And finally it is building, and can actually take a look at the generated code, and let's try to find some samples that are not included on Skia. So we're looking for conditional attributes, sample conditional attribute, and see any applications of it. And there is a acrylic sample page, and it is not included. And then just to confirm, let's see a sample that is only included for Skia, maybe. Okay, for now this will do the trick, and if we find any samples that are correctly included or that are incorrectly included or incorrectly excluded, we will adjust the logic if there are any bugs. But for now, I think that should be it. Yeah, just clean this up. And let's try to run the gallery app. And see it is running properly. And finally just clean these two. So these were just added only for debugging, where the IDE doesn't properly show the generated files. So these are just temporarily, and it should be working as it was before. So that's it for this video, and see you in the next one.